In the thriving city Z, the news reports multiple cases of zombie animals spotted attacking humans, so citizens are advised to not go out at night. All relevant departments are doing investigations into the matter, so citizens should be reassured that the government is on the job. However, the news advises them to take note that Citizen X has already been affected by an unknown virus causing various influenza cases, so it's best to strike that out of their holiday list if they plan on holidaying at all. Introducing us to this new world is Tyler, who is stocking up on canned food while all these announcements are made over the radio. Tyler's a decent-looking farm boy with slightly tan skin, a good build, a tall frame, and a shock of white hair that's long enough to be tied into a very small ponytail at the back of his head. On his way home, he gets a call from his supposed beloved, who inquires about the job he's supposed to get for her. He says he's found an available spot, but he won't send his sister to an orphanage as a condition to marry his girl. His sister is his family, and frankly, she was there first. The ungrateful opportunist has a mouthful to say about that reasonable conclusion, and the engagement is immediately called off just in time for him to ram his car into a bit goat. Tyler nearly has a heart attack and is shocked to find the goat alive even with a smashed brain. However, the animal moves on without causing any more trouble, so Tyler decides not to call the police. He makes it home safe and greets his adorable adopted little sister Hana, who had eagerly been waiting for him along with their dogs Peace and War. Hana starts eagerly telling her brother of all the chores she completed, like watering the plants and feeding the cows virus-contaminated grass that makes its eyes go red and so lifeless that a fly can dance the tango on its eyeball and not get flicked off. Unaware of this catastrophe, Tyler is very proud of Hana and offers to make a nice big meal as thanks for all her hard work. Peace, the white dog, bites into some of the contaminated grass and Hana bonks his head, telling him to spit it out. A solar eclipse is supposed to happen that day and little Hana is excited about it. After enjoying a delicious hearty meal of her brother's cooking, she notices something strange, and Tyler realizes, to his horror, that the moon has gone blue and the air has grown cold because there is suddenly a big snowstorm in the middle of the summer. Concerned for the livestock outside, Tyler heads out with War, the black dog, telling Hana to stay inside with Peace. The air is cold and the harsh wind makes it hard to see. When the eclipse happens, there is a bright light and the sun emits weird blue rays that make Tyler anxious. Suddenly, War starts to bark violently. Tyler wastes time worrying about the livestock because barely a second later a charging cow tries to put him on a t-shirt. Thanks to War's barking, Tyler managed to dodge in time. While War and the mad cow face off in a battle royal, Tyler makes a mad dash for a hunter's bow. When Tyler prepares to fire an arrow, a weird blue screen pops up in front of him like a target, directing him on where to point his arrow. Tyler fires off an arrow that surprisingly splits into four, all four hitting their mark and piercing the bull's skull. Unfortunately, his excitement is short-lived as the giant mutated creature is still standing. To make things worse, Tyler's out of arrows, so he gets knocked down like a red flag in a bullfight. Tyler's in danger, but he's more worried about the mad cow hurting Hana. He need not have worried about that either, since Peace has also violently mutated and he's got first dibs on tearing Hana to shreds. Hana is shocked to see her dear sweet Peace with red eyes and sharp deadly teeth. The formerly sweet white dog lunges at her, but Tyler appears in time to knock down Peace with a solid leg chop. Tyler scoops up Hana and tosses her into the safe house on the farm, which is when the status window pops up again, just like if he was in a comic. That's when he realizes the window is no illusion. He instructs Hana to stay inside the safe house and promises to protect her. As soon as he is outside, Peace attacks him, but War defends Tyler and attacks Peace. It's a free-for-all on the farm battleground and Tyler grabs an axe to fight. But before he can go far, the cow charges right at him. It gets its horn stuck in a tree and Tyler takes the opportunity and raises his axe, but before he can deal the final blow, man's best friend Peace leaps up and sinks his teeth deep into Tyler's shoulder. The pain from the bite has Tyler coughing blood and he realizes with horror that he's going to die. Suddenly, he's no longer on the farm, but he sees himself in a sea of blue screens as he tries to force his body to move. A screen recognizes him as player Tyler, but Tyler's thoughts are only on the two beasts prowling the farm. He wants to save his sister. The screen reads, "Apocalypse Survival Game. Successfully matched." A bunch of screens float around Tyler, each with a different message. One reads, "Apocalypse Game. Successfully loaded." Another screen recognizes him as player Tyler and his shelter is a poorly run manor. As Tyler floats in a sea of blue light, level 1 abilities unlock around him and he is granted 8 million points to upgrade the fortress rank. Tyler is surprised to wake up and find that he didn't follow a bright light to the afterlife. Instead, he's alive despite sustaining heavy injuries. His clothes are torn and stained with blood, but all his wounds are gone without a trace. Attempts to collect his memories give him a pounding headache, but seeing the cow's decapitated head and Peace's unconscious body tells him enough. He remembers now that he used more energy than a normal human could harness to punch the dog and kill the cow. The system warns him that the first round of destruction season has descended and that there are only 30 days before the next round of destruction season. His mission as a player is to survive the apocalypse game and make his shelter the strongest fortress. With the first round being poisoned land, Tyler fears what the second disaster will do. He takes the unconscious Peace back to the house and decides to keep the mad dog locked away until they can figure out how to help him. With the new apocalypse, electricity was out and communication lines were down. Tyler switched on the diesel generator and slid open a compartment in the safe house that was loaded with enough guns to arm a small gang. Tyler is willing to do whatever it takes to protect his sleeping little sister. He drives out to investigate the rest of the area, but gets concerned when all the nearby mutants get attracted to his car and give chase. He knows he can't lose them even if he keeps driving, so he pulls a gun and prepares to shoot. To his surprise, another car unleashes bullets at the animals, which surprises Tyler, but he's even more shocked when the big car blocks his path on the road and aims the gun of a huge tank vehicle at him. Dying from guns was not on Tyler's bingo card for the apocalypse, and his arms go up in surrender, especially when he recognizes the armband of the man holding the gun. It is the symbol of the army stationed at a nearby base. There must have been riots in the city. Now, Tyler worries about his ungrateful fiancée. The military official scolds him for being outside, but Tyler explains he was just trying to stock in resources. A man's gotta eat, especially with the ground all poisoned. The officer tells Tyler to go to the special locations the government set up for resources purchase, and then he should go home. The city wasn't safe. Then the officer has to take off when he gets a radio call that more mutants have been spotted. With even military planes dispatched, Tyler realized truly that the underworld must be empty, for the devils were now on Earth. A wise man would go straight home, but Tyler is a kind man and he starts worrying about his deadbeat ex, Susie. His drive through the city to check up on his ex reveals nothing but chaos. Ambulances and police cars are the only vehicles flooding the streets with robberies and deaths everywhere. The current medical system is in chaos, unable to cope with handling the mutation as well as saving lives. Even the resource center is chaotic. People are jumping lines and punching each other to buy a chicken sandwich. Someone even tries to sell Tyler contaminated food, but he scares that goofball away with a gun. At Susie's place, Tyler is surprised to find everywhere messy when she's usually a clean person. In the room, he finds contaminated food and a pill box from a low-standard pharmacy. The house has no trace of blood, so she likely didn't eat the contaminated food. Yet the locks hadn't been tampered with and she's nowhere to be found. Everything looks suspicious and deliberate, and he wonders where she could have gone. Since he couldn't find his deadbeat ex, Tyler just goes straight home and starts testing out his new abilities. His Eye of Reality skill gives him information on all creatures and objects like a visual encyclopedia. Shelter Authority helps him remotely control the shelter as well as to perceive the status of the shelter no matter where he is. His shelter is his farm of 30 acres. Despite all his skills being level 1, Tyler can plant tomato seedlings and harvest them in 48 hours. Not only have vegetables become fast food, but they're also anti-radiation rank seeds, which means he and Hana can eat free of fear of sickness. Hana is impressed that their food problem has been solved and cheers on her big brother. She lives by a new set of rules which include not eating any food that wasn't given by him, not running out of the farm, and not letting War eat any contaminated food. If she discovers any weird animals, she must hide. Tyler is proud of her because she is so obedient and doesn't take stupid risks. Tyler harvests crops and he's able to sell them for points, storing extra crops in his inventory. He doesn't need government handouts when he's got his specialized resource center, so he recycles a large amount of anti-radiation crops and obtains a cute adorable work robot. It was small, but it made work around the farm faster. Hana is excited about how much food they had, but Tyler warns her not to share that information with outsiders or they'd attract a big bad opportunist. She promises to do nothing of the sort, and Tyler is worrying about Peace still being infected by the virus when they get an intruder alert. Someone has come to visit. The visitor in question is Old Man Zan, a 42-year-old friendly neighbor. He's come sniffing around in need of extra food because he claims his house was robbed. Tyler knows better than to trust just any sob story and says he doesn't have much for himself since his store was destroyed by the mutation. Still, he offers to share what rations he has and hands over a bag of cup noodles to the hungry old man, wishing him success in his endeavors. Tyler has to be careful because the human heart is unpredictable, especially in an apocalypse. Since he has some vegetables stored in the freezer, he decides to secretly give old man Zan the food at night. However, when he and Hana sneak into Uncle Zan's house that night, they hear screaming like an exorcism is taking place. The old man's son, Zane, is violently coughing blood. From what they gather, he's been sick for a while, likely from eating contaminated food. Tyler shields Hana's eyes from such a heartbreaking catastrophe. An opportunist himself, Tyler decides to test the healing power of his vegetables. A stone through the window alerts old man Zan of the vegetables outside his door. He feeds them to his son and is shocked by Zane's piercing scream. Miracles abound because the vegetables are the answer and Zane is instantly cured. As if in celebration of Zane's life, electricity gets restored in the city and communication lines will return in a matter of time. That's when Tyler remembers his toxic ex and tries to give her a call. She never picks up the phone. Instead, it's revealed that two men take note when her phone starts ringing because they captured her. They're driving her somewhere to exchange her for food and they laugh wickedly. They don't even know what the pharmacy needs people for, but it's best not to ask questions. Hana is thrilled that they were able to save Zane. Her big brother is like a superhero to her. As they're driving home, their car suddenly gets attacked by King Kong. It's a mutated monkey but normal sized, and it lands on their roof. Tyler nearly swerves off the road. The monkey won't budge no matter how roughly he drives, so Tyler swerves so hard that the monkey gets thrown from the roof to the hood and is briefly incapacitated. Tyler seizes the moment to hop out of the car and blast that thing to Mars with a bullet in its head. Tyler is surprised to find the beast marked with a serial number when there are no zoos or any other farms nearby. There's only the pharmacy company. Emboldened by his recent success, Tyler tries to use the power of magical vegetables to cure Peace but ends up accidentally killing him instead. Hana walks in on the scene and has a complete breakdown. Even Tyler wants to cry. Despite all the power they have, it's not enough to save their puppy, Peace. They bury Peace outside and have a moment of silence for him until they have to return inside to escape the cold. Unfortunately, Hana is upset about Peace dying and won't even eat her favorite food. Tyler leaves War to guard her and heads out to the farm. He's able to level up the greenhouse from 1 to 2. Tyler also levels up the defense system around the farm and purchases a perimeter power grid. To support his defenses, he buys a level 1 mechanical hummingbird and a level 2 combat hound. Now he's ready to rumble because the hummingbird can cut falling leaves with great precision, and the combat hound can blast rocks with a laser from its mouth. Intruders will think twice before messing with him. He gives the mechanical dog to Hana as a new piece and tells it to protect her. Hana is very touched by the name and doesn't mind that her pup got replaced by a robot dog, so it all works out. Meanwhile, the general manager of Tyrex Pharmaceutical, Brutus, is up to something fishy. His assistant talks of a mutant sample that can now punch through 5mm thick steel plates with ease. However, the vice president of the Southside Company, Vice President Rena, is disappointed with their failure to donate medical equipment to fight the virus. The assistant worries about what will happen if they get reported to head office, but Brutus couldn't care less. He only asks that his loyal dog, Charles, keep an eye on Rena. Vice President Rena indeed comes over and she's in search of Brutus. Her long black hair flows in the wind as she demands to see him, but his people lie and say he's not in. She barges into his office anyway and demands that he lead his staff to actively cooperate with struggling hospitals and donate equipment and medicine instead of doing animal experimentation. However, Brutus doesn't care. He's a businessman and his primary objective will always be profit. Besides, most hospitals are powerless in the face of the virus, so finding a cure is a better endeavor. Rena can't fight him on that, but she can inspect his lab to see if his endeavors are truly worth their support. Director Tom takes her on a tour around the lab and shows her some of their less incriminating test subjects with their power increased tenfold. Rena is not impressed and sneaks away when Tom gets a new assignment. She has her men cover the surveillance cameras and scan the lab for Brutus' secret hideout. Like a Mission Impossible spy, she finds a hollow in the wall and presses down to reveal a terrible secret room where human experiments are conducted. The centerpiece of the room is a giant man-made mermaid. While all that is going on, Tyler's radiation-resistant crops are ripe for the picking. Hana helps him harvest and declares her hunger for grilled corn. Tyler spoils her silly, so he does make her grilled corn. After eating radiation-free food for 10 days, their physical strength had grown considerably. Suddenly, Tyler gets a notification that a visitor is coming. It's Zane and he's brought with him the food that they gave him. Tyler goes out to greet Zane. Zane greets him as young boss Ty. He came to thank Tyler for the noodles by bringing food in return. Tyler feels a little silly collecting back food that he gifted, but he also doesn't regret giving them food, especially now that Zane looks all better. Zane has come to borrow Tyler's truck to buy some grain. Tyler readily agrees until Zane reveals he has no driver's license and can't drive the truck himself. Rather suspicious behavior, but Tyler agrees to come since he intended to ask questions at the resource center anyway. He feels reassured that the mechanical animals will protect Hana. Hana also declares that Prosperity will protect her. Tyler is shocked that she's renamed the robot dog from Peace to Prosperity because he's got more skills than Peace retained. Hana says hi to Zane before heading off to watch cartoons. On their drive to the shopping center, Zane asks if Hana is safe by herself and Tyler explains he's got an electric gate to protect her. Then Zane starts typing fast on his phone like his soulmate is at the other end of the line. Tyler finds it suspicious when Zane says he's just borrowing money for extra shopping. Meanwhile, back at the house, Hana wonders if Zane has become a rainbow warrior because he used to be green, but when she saw him last, his body was glowing red. Since Zane said he was borrowing money, Tyler gives the boy the benefit of the doubt and tosses more money to him to help him buy food for his family. Guilt hits Zane like a wrecking ball and he promises to repay Tyler's kindness. When they are 100 meters from a fork in the road, Zane suddenly asks Tyler to turn left instead of right. He makes up a lie about the road being closed, but Tyler's not an idiot. He knows that the road isn't closed. He often travels that road and it is a main road in the township, so there's no way that road is closed unless there's a natural disaster. Zane backtracks and tries to say a friend told him the road was closed, so Tyler demands to speak to the friend. Now Zane is shaking like jelly and Tyler is about to lose his patience with the little backstabbing jerk. Zane then begs Tyler to please turn before it's too late. Tyler is pissed, but he heeds Zane's warning and turns left. It turns out there was a gang of stalkers watching from cameras and they were enraged that Zane betrayed them. It was a trap all along, and a well thought out one too, cause there was also a little surprise waiting on the path that Tyler had chosen. It turned out that the money-grabbing businessman, Brutus, was behind this attack. Zane cries and confesses everything, saying he sold them out to protect his father who was taken away by Tyrex. The Tyrex guys also know that Tyler has a cure and they plan to lure Tyler from the farm and kidnap Hana. Tyler was nearly ready to burst with Super Saiyan energy. He understood lying to him, but kidnapping a 6-year-old. Zane was a huge disappointment and he dared to still cry about having no choice. Malicious black cars have already caught up with them and they mean business. Tyler realizes all those questions Zane asked were to figure out his defenses so they could get Hana. Those wicked men came with an excavator to tear down the electric fence. Zane cries, saying it's too late, and asks Tyler to just give them the cure. Tyler is furious, as he has every right to be. He'll settle Zane later, but he makes a dark promise that no one who attacks Hana will make it out alive. A flashback to what took place after Zane was healed. He confessed to his father that he ate a contaminated apple in a fit of hunger. His father scolds him, but he's happy that Zane is all better. His sweet father, Old Man Zan, is overjoyed by the miracle of the free food they received and plans to make arrangements to pray at the ancestral grave, but he's the only one really into it. Zane, however, starts feeling a little entitled. He figures whoever gave them that bag of food has more bags of food, and he hates that person for being able to enjoy themselves in an apocalypse, cause it's only fair that everyone suffers together. Zane uses a neighbor's CCTV to find out who dropped the food and is not surprised to see it's Tyler. The ungrateful wretch then decides to hand Tyler over to the government so that he and his father can live in prosperity. Zane is a disgusting, horrible person, and his father gives him a well-deserved slap for thinking of repaying kindness with evil. However, Zane thinks he's the kind of guy that knows exactly what it takes to survive. Back to the present, Zane is seconds away from peeing his pants in fear. The black cars surround them, so Tyler has to get out of the car and holds Zane hostage. Charles steps out of his car and introduces himself as associated with Tyrex Pharmaceutical Company. He says he means no harm, but it doesn't take a genius to guess he's lying. He knows about the cure and he says they only wish to work with Tyler to make money together as well as huge profits. Tyler's not interested, so Charles gives him two choices. Either he takes the deal, makes money and is happy, or he doesn't take the deal and they'll torture the information out of him. Tyler finally uses some intellect and lies that he's used up all of the cure he has on Zane, but the men don't believe him anyway. Charles instead decides Tyler needs motivation and orders over the phone for Hana to be captured and fed contaminated food. Charles laughs that it's easy to get through an electric fence with insulation protection and thinks he has the upper hand. However, Tyler sees red and Charles is surprised that a farmer could have such terrifying eyes. Tyler replies that he's lucky he didn't go to the farm or he'd be dead, but Charles doesn't believe him. He orders his men to cut Tyler's limbs but to leave him alive, and the men leap at Tyler. Back at the farm, Hana is watching cartoons, but she's so annoyed that the bad guys keep making a lot of noise in their attempt to break the wall. Meanwhile, Tyler beats the sense right out of Charles' men. Charles had thought Tyler would be easy to deal with once they got him out of his farm, and they're horrified to find that he's so powerful. The hunter has become the hunted because Tyler is stronger and faster thanks to the food he'd been eating. He's impressed with his physical abilities, then pulls out a gun to test marksmanship. Charles is horrified to see Tyler bring a gun to a fist fight, and threatens that there are consequences for killing him. Tyler agrees, but that doesn't stop him from putting holes in Charles' goons. Charles is shaking with fear. He's living a nightmare and hides behind a rock that protects him from the onslaught of Tyler's bullets. When the shooting stops, Charles thinks Tyler is out of bullets. He starts to plan a surprise attack, but Tyler already snuck up behind him. Surprise, surprise, Tyler can just pull out another gun from inventory and he fires a bullet right through Charles. Meanwhile, Hana has finally taken care of the noise problem in her backyard by having Prosperity blow a hole through every intruder's head. Now that she can watch TV in peace, she worries that her brother would think her violent if he found all the bodies lying there. Quickly, she works with Prosperity to come up with a plan for hiding the bodies. Back to Tyler. He's shot and beaten Charles so many times that the bruised man is begging for forgiveness and apologizing for his actions. Charles has been shot in many non-fatal points, and Tyler threatens to heal him and just start over if he doesn't cooperate. Charles immediately agrees to cooperate and reveals that his boss is Brutus, the CEO of Tyrex. Tyler recognizes Brutus as the guy who inflated prices, so he's not very surprised. As for the information about Tyler having a cure, Brutus kept that to himself, and not even the vice president of the Tyrex company is aware. Brutus even planned on using the cure to elevate his authority and impress his bosses at headquarters. This makes Tyler realize that Tyrex Pharmaceutical, which monopolizes the southern city, is just a subsidiary of a larger group. Fortunately for Tyler, Brutus is a greedy information hog, so he can keep his secret safe if he just deals with Brutus. So, Tyler forces Charles to make a quick call back to his dumb boss and lie that the job was successful. Charles also lies that Tyler will only spill his secrets when he sees the boss in person. Brutus is pissed about that, but he agrees to show up. So, Tyler drives the tied-up Charles and Zane to the meeting place. They find Brutus waiting in a warehouse with a bunch of goons and old man Zan, who is tied up as their hostage. Zane is dressed in a fancy suit with dark glasses, and he drags Charles, who's been beat up so badly that Brutus doesn't recognize him. Zane even lies that Charles headed to the bathroom, and Brutus believes him, proving that Brutus was not exactly the sharpest tool in a shed. Everyone thinks Charles is Tyler because his face is all swollen. Now that they're here, Brutus demands to know the secret behind the cure, but old man Zan begs them not to say anything, knowing that Brutus would kill them once he had what he wanted. They can't hear the old man though because he's gagged, but Brutus can guess what Zan is trying to say and gets mad. He has his goons beat him up. While Brutus is still boasting and flexing his muscles, Tyler breaks in and lands foot first on Brutus' face. Then Brutus realizes he's been duped and he panics. Even Tyler laughs at him for not recognizing Charles, his loyal servant, bruised and battered as he is. Brutus struggles in Tyler's hold and threatens that he'll have his goons kill old man Zan if Tyler doesn't let go. However, Tyler's on demon time and asks Brutus to go right ahead. Jaws hit the floor from shock. Tyler feels he'd rather kill Brutus than let him escape, no matter the sacrifice. That's when Brutus realizes he's in big trouble and Zane starts begging for his father's life. Brutus' goons make a run for old man Zan, but Tyler shoots them down and they drop. Grateful, Zane rushes to his father. Tyler sends Brutus to the underworld with one well-aimed bullet and Zane frees his father. They both beg Tyler for forgiveness, like they didn't just almost get him and his sister killed. At least old man Zan has the decency to be ashamed for raising such a terrible son. However, Tyler doesn't hold it against him and he doesn't believe in guilt by association. He also says he won't forgive Zane, but he won't kill him either since he's Zan's son. With everything settled, Tyler asks them to pile the bodies so that they can dispose of the evidence of everything that happened. Tyler might believe in forgiveness, but karma says psych as Charles, who was on the brink of death, suddenly moves and attacks Zan and Zane, who are piling the bodies. Charles has decided if he's going to the underworld, then he's taking someone with him. Zan manages to dodge the first attack, but Charles comes in strong with the second. Zane leaps in the way and gets stabbed by Charles instead, taking his father's place. Before Charles can do any more damage, Tyler one-shots him to the afterlife by slamming him with his car. Zane cries as he holds his dying son in his arms. With his last breath, Zane says his final farewells. He recognizes that he's a terrible person, as everyone present is quite aware, but he hopes his sacrifice will help Tyler forgive him. A life for a life. He gives his life back to his father and thanks Hana for the sweets and the food they brought. Hurting from losing his son, Zane stabs Charles' fallen body over and over again. With the burning building behind them, Tyler and Zane leave victorious but scarred. Meanwhile, Vice President Renault is shocked to find that Brutus is dead. Miraculous that the fates took care of the dirtbag for her. The death is determined as murder because bullet fragments were found in many of the bodies and some appear to be tortured. The bodies were also piled and a car was set ablaze. Vice President René is pleased with this outcome but also wonders if the attacker was an enemy of Brutus or Tyrex Pharmaceutical. To prevent anyone from betraying him again, Tyler attaches a small untraceable bomb to Old Man Zan in case he ever feels like squealing. No hard feelings for the old guy but once bitten and twice shy. Old Man Zan is fine with the idea as he wants revenge against Tyrex and he will never reveal Tyler's secrets. Tyler comes home to find Hana and Prosperity shoveling the ground with a huge excavator. He asks what she's doing and she says she's playing the digging game but he can see right through her. With great shame, Hana reveals that she blasted the mean people that came around and she didn't want to tell Tyler because he'd think she was violent. To her surprise, Tyler believes violence isn't an answer but a question, and the answer is yes, especially in an apocalypse. He is proud that she could protect herself and he loves her no matter what, so she should always be honest. Hana is overjoyed to hear this and confesses that she asked Prosperity to blast them because those men were colored red. That's when Tyler finds out that his sister can see people based on the colors of their intent, and anyone who means harm is colored in red. Hana is not a player but she has perception abilities and can read emotions like intimacy and malice. Tyler is overjoyed by this news and very impressed by his sister. He tells her she's now his strongest assistant and must tell him if she ever sees someone in red. Meanwhile, Old Man Zan feels very confused by the exchange but he's just happy to be there. Zan will be living with them and helping with the farm work since he knows so much now. When Hana asks about Zane, Old Man Zan just says that he's gone to another world to atone for his sins. Zan is willing to become Tyler's watchdog so he can get vengeance for what happened to his son. Time passes and it's the 15th day of the catastrophe and death tolls are mounting by the million. The government is looking into soilless production and transfer of grain reserves. An old man with snow-white hair sits in a wheelchair and smokes while he's listening to the news. The younger man with dark hair and bespectacled gold eyes enters the room and calls the old man father. The young man is head office researcher Jeremiah. They've both heard the news. Brutus is dead. It's a shame but they'll survive without him. However, the news that the military police captured a level 5 beast in the mountains is of greater concern. Till now they've only ever recorded a level 3 mutant. Wild beasts must evolve faster since they feed on both radioactive animals and plants. The old man orders Jeremiah to take over a lab in that area and use Brutus' secret technology to study the mutants there so that they can utilize the virus as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Vice President Renault is still researching the details surrounding Brutus' mysterious death. Unfortunately, all the CCTV concerning the information she needs was wiped by Brutus to cover his corrupt tracks. Renault is forced to give up on the useless endeavor and goes to welcome Jeremiah instead. Jeremiah has come with his assistant Dave and Renault is eager to show him all the spots she's selected for his lab in the outskirts of town. Back at the farm, things are finally going well for Tyler. With the plantain business booming, he's decided to start a first pond and heads out with Hana, Prosperity, War and Old Man Zan to dig a hole for the pond. While they're planning out the pond, Old Man Zan points out with love that War seems to have grown bigger. That's when Tyler realizes he's been too carefree. The dog has indeed grown bigger and he just didn't notice because he sees War every day and he hadn't been paying attention. They'd gotten rid of all the contaminated plants from the farm since the incident with Peace, but he couldn't be too careful and had to make sure the anti-radioactive food wouldn't kill War as it did Peace. Just in case, he'll keep a close eye on War. Suddenly, he gets an intruder alert and the threat level is marked at 8, so of course Tyler has to drop everything and go investigate. He's surprised to see Vice President Renault outside and worries that his enemies have tracked him down. Then he realizes they're just there to buy his land. Of course, he turns them down and tells them to beat it. Displeased by his rude dismissal, Dave attacks the fence and Tyler is alarmed by his strength. He prepares to defend himself from this strong foe, but Jeremiah steps in and gives Dave a factory resetting slap, telling him to remember his teachings. Jeremiah apologizes for Dave's behavior, but Tyler gives Dave a punch in retaliation for him punching the gate. Then he says if the strangers were there for nothing else, they should leave. Jeremiah apologizes for the trouble and leaves his phone number for if Tyler ever changes his mind. Rena thinks Tyler is very rude as he just grabs the paper and stares through the gate until they drive away. He didn't expect the Tyrex guys to find him so quickly. He's not sure if they approached him by accident, but he'll keep an eye on them regardless. There are 10 days left before the next destruction season and Tyler is stocking up. The crops are doing well and he's started on aquatic livestock. He just needs to breed animals next. Old Man Zan notices that Tyler and Hana seem resistant to the harsh weather brought on by the apocalypse, so Tyler just says the food he grows causes changes in the body just like in a science fiction movie. When Uncle Zan hears that Tyrex came around that day, he gets motivated to become stronger. That night Tyler follows the hummingbird that followed the Tyrex truck and tracks down their base. They're staying at Vice Rena's place. Vice Rena washes up and feels refreshed but gets annoyed by the hummingbird that has entered her room. She thinks it's a mosquito and opens the window to let it out, just to find Tyler scaling the wall like he's a criminal Spider-Man. Even Tyler is shocked to be caught red-handed. Tyler hops in immediately and grabs Rena's mouth, sealing it shut with his hand before she can call for help. Vice Rena is very upset and feels the bodyguards outside are for nothing cause how did they let this intruder slip by them. Like a true gentleman, Tyler knocks her to the ground and tells her not to dare scream or they'll see which is faster, his knife or the guards. Thinking he's a thief, she tells him quickly where to find valuables and he mentions she's rather cooperative. When he says he isn't interested in money, she panics and quickly declares that she has AIDS so he won't touch her. Now Tyler is offended and pinches her lips shut. He lies that he's a friend of Brutus who wants to avenge his death so he can get information on how much they know. To his delight, they know absolutely nothing about his involvement. When he accuses her as the culprit, she points out that Brutus had many enemies and it's likely a revenge kill, but she didn't hate him enough to do that. Suddenly, Dave makes his presence known at Rena's locked door and demands for it to be opened since they know she is in danger. Dave breaks in and finds poor Rena collapsed on the floor but no sign of the intruder. Tyler sneaks away, surprised that Dave broke down the door, but he runs into Jeremiah who smirks and teases him for breaking into a lady's room. Tyler's shocked that he got found out. He thought he was a master at sneaking, but Jeremiah put gravity sensors on the windows so he knew immediately that Tyler had broken in and he'd asked Dave to guard Rena's door while he blocked the exit from the window. Tyler had to hand it to him. Jeremiah was one step ahead in intelligence, but Tyler thought he'd got him beat in strength. Tyler's shocked when Jeremiah can so easily block his powered attack with a well-placed knee. By Jeremiah's calculations, Tyler should have sustained heavy damage from that attack, but he's surprisingly fine. Jeremiah amiably inquires on whether or not Tyler practices martial arts or if there's a secret reason Tyler can sustain heavy damage without injury. Either way, Jeremiah says he's not letting Tyler go without an explanation and Tyler realizes that he's met his match. Realizing he's bitten a bit more than he can chew, Tyler decides to retreat saying that he's not going to play around with Jeremiah. But Jeremiah refuses to let him escape and charges at him. However, Tyler refuses to be beaten and tosses sand in Jeremiah's eyes like it's a schoolgirl fight. With Jeremiah blinded and his eyes burning, Tyler skedaddles. The guards are worried about Jeremiah, but he's busy thinking that Tyler is excellent research material. Unfortunately, there's no point going after Tyler. He's fast and has likely already gotten away. Thankfully, Rena is unharmed but knocked out. Jeremiah prescribes her some pills and says the police need not be called since things are busy in the south side. To his horror, Jeremiah finds that his interest is not the only thing Tyler stole, and his gray hard drive has gone missing. To no one's surprise, Tyler has the drive and he searches for secret files of Tyrex. To his surprise, he finds instead Jeremiah's evolution ideology. Jeremiah doesn't think the new mutation is a bad thing but an opportunity for species to evolve and grow stronger. He wants to make people stronger and give everyone a better chance at life. Tyler finds that he agrees with Jeremiah's evolution ideology but to a limit. He does not agree with human experimentation and he suspects Jeremiah is involved in that. Tyler has begun his livestock project and has populated the farm with a small gathering of evolved adorable chicks, piglets and rabbit cubs. Hana was pleased to see them but horrified when she found out the little cuties were their dinner. She sulks at first but her sorrows wash away when Tyler reminds her of all the delicious food he can make with the animals. Then, Tyler gets a notification that a new product has been born. An albino corn. The corn grants increased speed, strength, and tenfold reflexes for 30 seconds. Tyler is elated. He searches for more rare products but is sad to find that rare products are rare. He decides he'll focus his energy on more productive endeavors like getting more points. Meanwhile, Miss Vice Rena is steaming in rage and plotting her revenge on the guy who humiliated her by breaking into her room and pinning her down. The experience was mortifying and she swears vengeance. Since both guards and the military police are too busy and useless, she decides she will search for the culprit herself using the one strand of hair she retrieved from her clothes. She approaches Jeremiah and he asks if she's feeling better. She expresses gratitude for the massage techniques he taught her and tells him that they've got a recently closed down factory that's just near the farm he likes for him to do his research. Since he's such an expert in biological research, she asks if he can do a DNA comparison for her to search out a person. However, Jeremiah explains that it's similar to finding a needle in a haystack because there are so many people. He asks if this person is really important to her and she mentions she's just looking for the intruder who attacked her. Now that completely changes Jeremiah's perspective and he's 100% down for every kind of war crime if it means getting his hard drive back. She should have led with that because now he's motivated. Jeremiah thinks back to his very difficult past. Every attempt to make a creature evolve had failed. The creature would always become violent and put down. When he was even younger, his brother did not recognize him as a sibling. His bullying was encouraged and his brother would stand by as others maltreated him because he was a bastard child. Jeremiah still has nightmares about the bullying. He's been able to make V-shaped viruses more stable but he hopes to one day create the perfect mutant and finally beat his brother. It's been 19 days since the world changed and mutant carcasses have piled up exceeding 100. Tyler is surprised to find Hana watching the news to keep track of changes. She says she's all grown up and wants to help her big brother as much as she can. Tyler says she already helps plenty by identifying evil people but she wants to help more since war is stronger as well. Tyler has to admit that war is stronger. He's enormous now. The anti-radioactive food seems to have a positive effect on him which makes Tyler relieved. He goes back to digging the pond and tells Hana to get snacks if she's hungry. Since things are going so well, it's about time for another disaster and Hana steps right up to the plate by feeding War some seeds she found in a covered plate. War immediately feels sleepy and closes his eyes but in the middle of the night, he awakens with a deep hunger and glowing red eyes. Old Man Zan hears the clatter and springs from his bed to see what is the matter. He is horrified to find that War has become a mutant wolf. War seems a little different from the other mutants and Old Man Zan realizes that War doesn't immediately attack him. He tries to speak gently to the dog, but War leaps away, out the window, over the fence and away from the farm. Old Man Zan watched that happen with shock on his face. Tyler wakes up in time for Old Man Zan to tell him what happened. Hana wakes up too because War isn't by her side and though Tyler tries to comfort her, Hana is distraught, especially after what happened to Peace. The little rascal confesses that she fed War some strange seeds, which turn out to be level 4 divine grain seeds. Tyler worries that War's new mutation might hurt him and Hana makes him promise that he'll bring War back because War is family. Meanwhile, War battles the hunger to feed on flesh within him. He ran away from home because he did not want to hurt his family. A strange man in white robes sees War and is surprised to see such a magnificent wolf. He immediately desires to capture War for his divine mission. Tyler pulls out a motorbike and is ready to after War and find him before the military gets him first. During his search, he runs into a fanatic who truly believes the catastrophe is a result of the sin of humans and is divine punishment from God. To earn forgiveness and survive they have to join the weird cult but Tyler's not into it. He tells the robed figure that they should try to look into brainwashing before trying to deceive people, and the figure gets majorly offended. Tyler drives away as the figure creepily says that those who don't follow God will fall to hell for eternity. In a flashback, Tyler remembers how he first met War. It was a warm summer's day. He was smoking and it was a beautiful day to stumble upon the corpse of a dog that had likely been hit by a car when crossing the street. Even more pitiful than the dog was the small pup clinging to the corpse of its mother despite the mother being long dead. Tyler decided to adopt the lonely pup and that pup had grown to become their War. War who'd run from them and was busy attacking some security guys from Tyrex because they'd thrown a cigarette at him. Jeremiah scolds the guards for provoking War but they explain they hadn't seen the dog because he'd been lurking in the bushes. Now that gets Jeremiah's gears grinding because mutants have no rational thought so they can't lurk. For this mutant to lurk it means it's evolved into a much superior being. It's even holding on to the leg of a guard to use him as a shield against gunfire. Jeremiah sees gold and orders his men to capture War and bring the dog to him alive for he desperately wants to study it. War dodges the tranquilizers shot at him and Jeremiah orders them to give chase. Meanwhile, Tyler is still searching for War on his motorbike. His hummingbird scans the area and he finds large paw prints as well as blood. He worries about how War got hurt that badly. Jeremiah and his men give chase to War in their cars. Jeremiah is amazed by how athletic and powerful War is. He's basically in love and he's more motivated to catch that wild dog than he's motivated to ever get laid. Tyler senses a disturbance in the force and the hummingbird alerts him to War's location, as well as the fact that Jeremiah is after him. Tyler is furious. He guessed that Jeremiah wanted to capture War for experiments, but he's never going to let that happen. Activate albino corn powers. The corn is quite small and fits perfectly in his hand like a wedding ring, but today it's about to be the biggest sausage blocker Jeremiah has ever seen. Jeremiah tries to drive War into an old factory up ahead, but the large dog leaps onto the roof of one of the cars chasing him. The other cars fight back and fire bullets at War, but Tyler catches the bullets right out of the air like a Bollywood MC. Tyler dispatches those goons and Jeremiah at the speed of light. They don't even see him coming. Unfortunately, time is running out and Tyler has 1 second left on the clock. The corn has side effects, kind of like its neighbor that starts with P, and Tyler feels weaker and lightheaded. He can't move away as Jeremiah aims a gun at him and fires. However, War suddenly appears and sinks his teeth into Jeremiah's pretty long neck. Tyler wakes up to War carrying him on his back. The knight in shining armor has now gained a fancy biological weapon as a steed. War doesn't go far before plopping down on the ground in exhaustion as Tyler asks if he's okay. Tyler tries to assess him using the system, but he can't figure out what's happening to War, and War gets wrapped in large magical tendrils like a magical girl. The tendrils wrap War in a thick cocoon. Meanwhile, Jeremiah has been rushed to the hospital for the fatal wounds he received to the neck and the severe head injury he's suffered. It's a miracle he's not dead yet. The guards apologize to Vice Rena, but she's not having it. It was their duty to protect the researcher, but that did nothing for them, and now that he's nearly dead. However, they report to her that everyone who chased after War suffered heavy injuries and only Dave and Jeremiah remain alive. Vice Rena then demands the attacker's identity, but no one truly saw what he looked like. He looked to everyone like a bright light. Vice Rena is not satisfied with such a lousy description, but before she can roast them further, Jeremiah's heart rate starts to drop. Everyone is panicking when researcher Jeremiah asks that he get injected with the V-shaped virus. He says there's no need to tell his family, they're just people who happen to share his name anyway. They inject him with the virus and he screams in pain. At the same time, War's cocoon finally breaks open and Jeremiah stares in shock as a humanoid wolf walks out, somehow standing on 2 legs. Tyler can't believe his eyes. His pet had gone from cute puppy to beast man war machine with jacked muscles and a stronger build than his own. The dog man's eyes glow blue and places his hand on Tyler's shoulder in a tight grip. Old man Zan and Hana wait for Tyler and War to come home, but they end up falling asleep waiting at the door. When Hana wakes, she sees them by the door and rushes to greet them, but is shocked to see War carrying her bridal style like the princess he was for this rescue mission. War can't control his strength properly yet, so he gripped Tyler too hard on the shoulder and made him bleed. Tyler takes the bullet Jeremiah shot out of his body and eats healing carrots to close the wound. War has evolved into a Czech wolfdog much to Hana's delight, and they find clothes for War and dress him up in a shirt and pants. Tyler recognizes that War ran away because he didn't want to hurt them, and thanks to War biting Jeremiah, his DNA got mixed with humans and he's not a stable humanoid dog. Tyler realizes that War ran away at first because he didn't want to hurt them, but after biting Jeremiah his DNA got mixed with humans and now he's a humanoid dog. Meanwhile, Jeremiah also wakes to find that he has mutated, but terribly because of virus B. His body has mutated in a way that still puts him in mortal danger. If he cannot find a cure, he will die in 7 days. Haley, a Southern Side police officer, comes to see Jeremiah. After much thought, Jeremiah has finally put 2 and 2 together and assumes the person who caused him such a great injury is the same person who stole his hard drive. He guessed that person is also related to the dog and the perfect mutations he seeks. This means if he can catch him, then he can kill many birds with 1 stone. He asks that the police officer not be alarmed by his appearance, and she says she is not frightened. He explains the situation and that he has a few days to live if he cannot find a particular person. She agrees to help him. Meanwhile, Tyler finds out that the level 4 seed is the key to human evolution, as fate has been so kind as to drop the answers Jeremiah has spent life searching for right into Tyler's lap. Tyler thinks rather arrogantly that he could become a god to create a new era of gods. Tyler spends a lot of points on good soil so he can plant the level 4 seed. He also buys expensive growth agents and agricultural robots to speed up the planting. His goal is to have as many seeds as possible before the second wave of destruction arrives. Meanwhile, the weird cultist priest that met Tyler the other day goes back to his Holy Lord to tell him they found a holy beast. The Holy Lord gets excited to hear about war and acts like he intends to eat the poor pup. With the nourishment of the new holy beast, the Holy Lord will be able to complete his emergence. The Holy Lord no longer wants the small scraps. He only wants to eat the wolf. A deep dark hissing comes from a strange hole in the ground inside the temple, and it declares that it wants to eat a wolf. In another flashback, Tyler recalls seeing a new notification of an accident that occurred on a highway. A car plunged down a cliff, rolled multiple times, and exploded. The man and woman in the car died, but their daughter was found hanging from a tree and was rushed to a hospital. Tyler shakes his head at such a tragedy and is glad that wasn't anyone he knows. Then he wonders why his parents are taking so long with their trip. However, when he tries to call, no one answers. The child, Hana, was rushed to the hospital, and the nurses found that the couple that died had only just recently adopted her from the orphanage. They think it's bad luck for her new parents to die so suddenly after adopting her. Tyler is taken in to see his parents, and they're completely charred to a crisp. He doesn't recognize them, and he doesn't accept their identity because his parents mention nothing about adopting a child. The officer offers to do a DNA test for him, and he is asked to wait till the test results for the bodies were out. As Tyler sits dejected and sad, Hana comes to apologize for asking his parents to adopt her. That if she'd stayed quiet, then maybe they wouldn't both be orphans. Tyler shushes her gently that it's not her fault. When the test results reveal that the parents are his, Tyler breaks down in sobs and cries with Hana in his arms. Back to the present, the comparison results are out for Jeremiah, and they've finally tracked down the attacker. Jeremiah is unimpressed by the man's identity. Tyler seems ordinary in every single way. Even his looks are ordinary. The only way such an average mediocre guy could become extraordinary is through evolution. Jeremiah believes Tyler must have harnessed the V-shaped virus, but one of his assistants points out that the V-shaped virus might not be the only way to evolve. Jeremiah gets excited like a kid who'd just been gifted an iPad for Christmas. Meanwhile, the military is also interested in cases of perfect mutations, and Haley is asked to keep an eye on both Tyler and Jeremiah. Tyler is still purchasing growth agents, and the divine crops mature very quickly. Old Man Zan points out that war has started refusing to come down from the roof, and Tyler suspects that there is danger afoot. Concerned, Tyler asks the hummingbird to scan around the farm. While the bird is doing that, Tyler gets a message and wonders if it's a prank because he has no friends besides the people present on the farm. He wonders what sort of scam company sends messages in the middle of an apocalypse. However, as soon as he reads the message, his basket of fruits falls from his hand and he drives out of the farm. Jeremiah has been monitoring Tyler's movements and immediately reports that he has left the farm. So Jeremiah sneaks in high-level drones to survey the farm layout. He points out how odd it is that plants seem to flourish on the farm despite the virus, and the plants look healthy. However, he's wary about getting too close to the farm because he doesn't want to get injured a second time. Dave personally thinks Jeremiah is overreacting. It's a farm, not a military base, but he keeps his opinions to himself. Jeremiah memorizes the layout of the farm and prepares to attack to capture war. Jeremiah activates shock waves 3 times throughout the farm. No electronic device should still be working after 3 shock waves, so Jeremiah and a few others use parachutes to enter the farm from above. Meanwhile, Tyler stares at the dug-up grave of his parents. The messages he received threaten that his parents' ashes have been taken and that Tyler has been given a day to consider his options and to surrender war or else he will be attacked. Tyler doesn't take the threat seriously. His parents would beat him up if he risked his life for some ashes. He decides he won't risk his life, but he'll catch whoever it is and make them pay. As he's trying to guess who could do such a thing, he gets an alert that the farm is under attack and the threat level is 99. Jeremiah's men surround the farmhouse as they sense heat coming from it, but pause when the heat signal vanishes. As they search for their target, Hana and War flare at them from the roof of the house. Hana detects negative energy from all the surrounding the house and orders War to turn them into compost. Jeremiah's men try to blind their target by throwing a flash glare through a window, then storm the house but realize with horror that the house is empty and they've been led into a trap. Jeremiah orders them to run out, but it's too late and many men get caught in the ambush. Jeremiah is shocked that the house possesses such excellent high-grade technology. He stumbles out of his house to find his targets waiting for him outside. Tyler sees Jeremiah and assumes he's here for revenge. Jeremiah says since everything is clear there's nothing more to say, and that Tyler exceeded his expectations. Jeremiah doesn't fight for his life since he'll die soon anyway, and old man Zan gets a little bloodthirsty and demands that they kill the wicked guys from Tyrex that helped to cause the death of his son. First, Tyler demands that they confess the whereabouts of his parents' ashes, but Jeremiah has no idea what he's talking about. Meanwhile, the priest shouts that Tyler is a horrible son who dares to ignore his parents' ashes. The Holy Lord is enraged that Tyler didn't even consider offering war at all, and now all the small snacks he arranged for the beast that he calls mother were gone. The other cult members tell him to calm down, but the High Lord screams and whines that his mother is tired of eating dirty things and wants a holy beast. As they're trying to calm him, another worldly voice calls the Holy Lord by name. The other members are shocked to hear the Holy Lord call the voice mother. The Holy Lord hugs and caresses the image of a beautiful female figure that holds him and pets him gently, but it's all a delusion. The beautiful image is only his imagination, and he's hugging a monster from the pit. This is where I'll end the summary. What could happen next to Tyler and the gang, and what is the beast in the pit that the Holy Lord calls mother? Is this where Jeremiah's life ends? Please like and subscribe to enjoy more of this juicy story and find out what happens next.